And we begin with good day, sir.
Geeks come in all shapes and sizes, and that they come into all kinds of things.
I was thinking more about the Satanic Panic.
By the scholar Gary Gygax.
Well, wait, hold on.
I said good day, sir. Not defending Roman slavery by any stretch, but
God, that's bad.
let them vote. Fuck off.
When historians, and especially British historians, want to get cute.
Oh, it's in there.
Okay.
It is not worth the journey. This is a Geek History of Time,
where we connect nerdery to the real world. My name is Ed Blaylock. I am a world history teacher at the 7th grade level. I'm also the father of a geekling in training. He's just getting to the point where he's about to learn how to walk, and I've already got a sword in his hand. It's wooden, and he mostly likes to chew on it, but I consider it a start. How about you?
Well, I'm Damien Harmony. I'm a Latin teacher. I used to be a social science teacher. I am also a father of two. If you look behind you, Ed, you will see a bunch of the minis that my daughter has painted.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm going to step away from the
feel free.
Keep talking.
Oh, yeah. And she said it's okay if we strip down the owlbear and the unicorn, by the way.
Okay.
Because she wouldn't mind taking a second chance at them now that she kind of has an idea of what she wants to do.
Okay.
So we primed them, but she primed the unicorn with all black, and I was like, hey, you should have primed that with white if you're going to make it white.
Yeah.
So, but I am the father of two geeks. She loves to play D&D. They have decided to switch characters. They're both playing magic users, so the NPC is now a paladin,
Nice.
who is a soldier. So I'm actually teaching them tactics, which is fun. And yeah, I'm not teaching children to wield swords or anything like that, but we do have a fake sword and a fake axe hanging over on the wall in case they ever get a critical hit.
There you go.
So
Brilliant.
yeah.
All right, how long you been a geek, dude?
Oh, geez. 6 feet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir, I say good day.
We have a tradition that y'all don't know about, but I am also a stand-up comic, and I run a pun tournament.
They never would have guessed.
I'm not that funny. But I run a pun tournament with a colleague of mine, and we've been doing it for 2.5 years. It's Capital Punishment. And I will just throw puns out there sometimes. And what I'll often do is have a long, sweeping story.
There'll be a huge Shaggy Dog. This is just these amazing,
Enormous.
incredibly artful, like
Well told.
so many working parts in them Shaggy Dog stories that'll end with the shittiest puns.
Just awful.
Just the most painful,
Terrible puns.
And he puts these things up on social media, and I usually respond in all caps as though I am a character in an Austen novel. Sir, I say good day. And always with an angry react because Jesus, they hurt.
Oh, it's fun.
So
I'll give an example actually, just for kicks. Embarrassing confession. As many of you know, I love professional wrestling, if you listen to previous episodes. In an effort to pull myself away from the crushing and depressing news that is the news lately, I treated myself to some Indian food. I went to a local bookstore to see my favorite professional wrestler of all time, Bret Hart. He is on a signing tour currently, and I promised myself that I'd avail myself of the opportunity if it ever presented itself, because back in 2000, he was on a signing tour, came through Detroit, and I happened to be in Michigan for my grandfather's funeral at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't go to it.
Oh.
Yes. So I promised myself if it ever happened again, I would do this. And you can look behind you. You see my Bret Hart bobblehead.
Yeah.
However, the Indian food restaurant screwed up their order and kept me way later than I'd anticipated, so I had to bring all the food with me. Now, it's not really a problem. I figure I could use the bowl of Indian soup as an icebreaker since he had been to India in his career. He was big in India. And it was an outdoor signing, so I figured the overwhelming smell wouldn't bother anyone. Now, this is 2 paragraphs into a social media post.
Yeah.
It's a very real-sounding story. While I was in line, almost right in front of me, and almost right in front of him, I'd absently rested my food on the table near him, and it wasn't quite right in front of him, though. And a kid asked me a question. And unbeknownst to me, this kid had a friend who had brought a pet frog to introduce to Bret Hart. And the kid was probably more interested in the frog, and his dad had dragged him along for the signing. The damn frog jumped out into my soup and splashed around while I had my back turned, and while the line was moving. And by the time I was aware, the frog was soaked in my soup and jumping right into Bret Hart's face. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet Bret Hart that night, because as I turned around wide-eyed, it was a Toad doll eclipse of Bret Hart. Which reliably, an hour later, I will get an angry emoji from my partner here. And
Sir, to whom should I direct my second?
It is so good. I have so many people who are just like, I just skipped to the bottom. I know better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, when you first started talking about eating food, I thought it was going to be the cure was worse than the disease one.
That's also a fun one.
Which hurts.
Yes.
So badly.
Oh, it's so good.
So now, oh my God. So now that we've explained that, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What do you think of giant robots? Like in science fiction, in as a subgenre, as a characteristic, as a MacGuffin.
Sure.
What do you think?
Honestly,
yeah,
I was always more into human and human-like creatures for my cartoons than I was giant robots.
Okay.
Transformers was okay.
Okay.
But I never dug on the style of anime that was Robotech and Macross Plus and Voltron.
Okay. Transformers.
Yeah, I was not a huge fan. I still dug them because they were on after G.I. Joe, but they were not my favorites. I had trouble connecting to them, quite honestly.
Okay.
So giant robots, not a thing I've been that interested in, but I am interested in the history of toys.
Okay.
So.
And on another occasion, I can do the research. We can talk about the toys angle of all of that, because it is a big deal. It is definitely a big part of it. But I am
you're a huge
giant robots fan. We already did two episodes on BattleTech, which is Yankee-fied giant robots.
Right.
And if you throw a giant robot series at me, if I look at it and I say, oh my God, this is going to be a total sack of crap, I'm still going to watch the first 2 or 3 episodes, because you never know. And it's giant robots, and like, if somebody explained to me the premise of Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann before I ever saw the series, I would go, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's way too far over the top. That's stupid. But then you watch the show, and it has this odd Japanese way of being so totally committed that it's awesome.
Okay.
It manages to cross the line twice and be all that.
Okay.
Like, it's amazing. Stupid. Still, like, the whole time you're watching it, you're like, oh, yeah, no, this, like, there's not even suspension of disbelief, but I don't care, because,
Okay.
And then if you give me another series like Gundam or Fang of the Sun Dogram or Macross, which Robotech is derived from.
Right.
I'm an unabashed, squealing fanboy.
Wow.
Okay.
What is it about me I keep attracting these kinds of friends to me?
All
of my friends have always been like really into these things.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
maybe because all my friends are older than me.
It could be.
Yeah.
Could be a couple of years.
Yeah.
And in my case, I know that my exposure to the genre happened when I was in, later elementary school, living in Hawaii.
That'll do it.
We've already talked about me being exposed to samurai movies at an age that warped my character forever. Sure. And so this genre was something that was this huge impactful thing on my whole outlook on science fiction. Some of my more literary friends might think to the detriment of my the stuff that I've tried to write and tried to do, but I don't even consider it a guilty pleasure. I'm just like, no man, I love this, I will fight you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing is, it wasn't until I was in late high school where it was pointed out in an article I was reading that was above my pay grade. It was above my reading level at the time, but I don't even remember where it was. But it was a semi-scholarly article on Japanese media in general, And they specifically talked about the link between the giant robot genre and the depiction of giant robots and the link to Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Okay.
And so when we started talking about doing this podcast, this was something that I immediately went, well, as a history geek, this is something I really want to
I remember this being one of the first topics you brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have been, I think it was number 2. Might not have been number 1, but I'm pretty sure it was number 2 or number 3. So,
I brought up poop.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That was number 2.
Because, right. I mean, the one I brought up.
Oh.
Second one I brought up.
But
yeah, you did.
I brought up poop.
And
as number 2 on the list.
I really would have preferred it if you hadn't, flung it at the same time. But so to understand the history of all of that, I want to take you back to 1945.
Okay.
But pre-dropping of pre-bomb.
Sure.
1945, Operation Downfall.
So the plan to invade.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it was the Allied plan for the invasion of the Japanese home islands.
Right.
It was scheduled to start in November of 45 with the invasion of Kyushu. How much do you know about the geography of the Japanese islands?
Well, I had a 7th grade teacher that taught us about Japan. So if I recall, that is the southernmost island?
It is the southernmost island.
Okay.
There are 4 of them.
Right.
Kyushu is the one farthest to the south. The main one nearly everybody lives on is Honshu. That is considered like mainland Japan to the extent an island nation can have a mainland.
And there's also Hokkaido?
Hokkaido is the northernmost one.
Okay, and then there's...
and then Shikoku is the smallest of them that's tucked up under Honshu.
Right.
My college Japanese history professor said if you ever just need a shorthand way of thinking about where the islands are in your head, imagine a baby buggy.
Okay.
Because the curve and the way that Kyushu and
they look like wheels.
Shikoku are down at the bottom.
Okay.
So the plan was Okinawa had been invaded.
Right.
And Okinawa is not really one of the home islands, but it's depending on who you're talking to and what they're talking about.
Right.
Okinawa sometimes is considered one of the home islands, but it's not a main home island of Japan.
But strategically, it was vital to an invasion.
It was critical to an invasion because of trying to get air support, trying to get supplies, trying to find a staging area, all that kind of stuff.
Iwo Jima, if I recall correctly, so demoralized our troops in some ways in the victory.
Well, yeah, because it was grueling.
Oh, God, the invasion's going to be terrible.
And we're going to get to that in a second.
Sorry.
So, after taking Kyushu, so the invasion was going to start on Kyushu.
Okay.
And the idea was take the southernmost island and use the airstrips the Japanese already had in order to provide air support, supply drops, all that kind of stuff. And they would invade directly onto the Kanto Plain. Now, the Kanto Plain, Japan is a highly mountainous country.
Right.
Something like, I want to say it's only 20% of the land mass. I haven't gotten to this unit yet this year, so it's been a year since I talked about the geography. But something like 20% of the land mass, and it might be less, it might be more like 10, is flat.
Wow.
The other 80-90% is mountainous terrain.
Okay.
So the Kanto Plain is the largest concentrated area of relatively flat terrain in the home islands. It's where Tokyo is located.
Right. Now, knowing my Roman history, if you've got a shit ton of mountains, you are hard to invade. It's not worth the trouble.
Yeah, no, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So this would have. So the idea was they were going to invade the Kanto Plain. Kanto Plain, sorry, on Honshu, utilizing air support coming from Kyushu, and this would have been the largest amphibious invasion in history.
Right.
MacArthur's invasion of Korea, 10 years later, however long it was, 6 years later, was big, but it was a piker compared to what this plan would have been. The number of men involved, the amount of material.
Now, just for comparison, because a lot of people would know D-Day.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember, because I took a history of World War II class when I was in college, I remember that one of the things that they planned for was literally, and I'm not exaggerating with this number, 1 million body bags were requisitioned for that invasion for Japan.
For Japan, yes.
D-Day, it was not even a quarter of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was
and
it was not even 200,000.
That's planning for the dead.
Yeah.
Never mind the amount of people.
Not
just planning for the dead.
Never mind the wounded.
Right.
No. Yeah, that was KIA.
Right.
Figures were expected to be over 1 million.
So when you've got D-Day, which is the largest amphibious invasion in history, 6 beaches, etc., etc., this is literally more than 4 times that big.
Yes, this would have been
and concentrated on one spot.
Yeah, this would have been an exercise in concentration of force.
Yes.
In college and ROTC, there
and
are
attrition.
Basic. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. There are basic principles when you're making any kind of an attack plan. There are basic principles that you need to keep in mind. One of them is concentration of force.
Okay.
Sherman would have said, "Be there firstest with the mostest."
Uh-huh.
Throwing all the force you can at, figuring out the most important point is hitting it with all the force you can spare to hit that point.
Yeah.
Rather than, having a whole bunch of stuff going on in a bunch of different places.
That's why spears have tips.
Yes, precisely. Yeah. And that's the reason we use that analogy, tip and spear. So, the Japanese looked at the map of their own country.
They knew.
And they knew. They were like, okay, look, they're going to be invading because we're refusing to surrender because the sanctity of the emperor is inviolate. We cannot give that up.
Right.
And they're demanding an unconditional surrender.
Can't do that.
Which, by the way, was unprecedented in world history up to that point.
True.
And they're like, unconditional means they might take away the emperor. We cannot do that.
Right.
And so we know they're going to invade. And so we know this is how they're going to do it.
It's the only way.
So the Japanese knew we were coming. We knew the Japanese knew we were coming. Mm-hmm. And what we didn't know, or what our generals didn't know, was that the Japanese plan was, we're going to defend Kyushu until we are bled white. Mm-hmm. The defense of Kyushu, we're throwing everything at it. There will be no reserves. There will be nothing held back.
Right.
We're, kamikaze tactics until doomsday.
Right.
Women,
children, everything.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And the Japanese people were given a steady diet of propaganda, indicating that when Yankee soldiers showed up, they were going to be eating babies, raping everybody that wasn't nailed down, nailing down everybody they didn't want to rape. Really, they were characterizing what was going to happen to civilians as being a vision out of hell. Now, it should be noted that they got some of their ideas about how bad it would be from the way Japanese soldiers had treated the Chinese and Koreans.
Yeah, I was going to say it's accusation through, or it's confession through accusation.
Confession through accusation, yes.
Yeah. But to them, that's what war was. They did not belong to the Geneva Convention.
No.
They had a different way of carrying out war.
They had a different military culture. Their military culture was an outgrowth of samurai ethos, was an outgrowth taken straight out of feudal warfare into the modern world, in which peasants were property.
Right. We did that too. In fairness, in the Western world, the Occidental world did that too.
Yeah, but
in the officer corps being gentlemen, etc., etc.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. However.
Yeah.
Our military, we have from the foundation of our country held up this ideal of the citizen soldier.
Right.
And that idea was a foreign concept to the Japanese. The common soldier was a dog whose only job was to follow orders and die for the emperor.
Wow.
And that was the way, that was the way they were.
That's how you win.
They were treated by their officers almost as badly as they treated civilians in the field. I mean, the level of punishment that was used by Japanese NCOs and officers was, to us, absolutely inhumane.
Which goes back to, it doesn't go back to Rome, but interesting analog would be how Crassus decimated his troops after the first fight with Spartacus.
Yeah.
Literally, you drew the white stone? All of your cohort mates have to beat you to death. Have to. And they're your friends. Yes. And they have to. Yes. And now go back out there and do it again.
Because I'm punishing all of you.
Right.
You're the sacrifice that acts as the punishment for them.
Yeah. And, more importantly, you will be more afraid of me than you will of your enemy this time.
Yes.
So don't fail.
So don't break ranks.
Right.
So, because of all of these aspects, and we didn't know that they were going to defend Kyushu that heavily, but we knew
it would drag on until 47 or so.
Oh yeah, at least, and we knew that the civilian population was going to rise up with bamboo sticks with, pointy bits on the end of them and whatever else they could get their hands on. That's what we expected, or what our generals expected. And so, again, casualty rates of our soldiers rising as high as 1 million. So hold on to that.
Okay.
It goes a little bit further back.
Okay.
Japan, like Germany, was subjected to massive strategic bombing attacks. Both to hit industrial targets, to damage the Japanese war infrastructure, and to destroy civilian homes and infrastructure as part of a total war doctrine.
Right. If you terrorize the civilians enough, they'll rise up against their government and make it stop.
Yeah, except they're Confucian, and that's never going to goddamn happen. Because it's Japanese, and you don't understand the culture. But, sorry.
And on top of that, I'm sorry, terrorizing a civilian population has never led to shortening a war that I can know of, all the way back to Troy.
Indeed.
So.
Yeah. So firebombing was used in Germany, but it was used much more extensively as a tactic in Japan because Japanese homes were literally built out of paper. And incendiary attacks caused massive devastation and massive psychological damage because going back to their feudal age and before, fire, because of what they built their houses out of in any kind of city, fire was the biggest thing people were afraid of.
Oh, yeah. Tokyo got, 100,000 dead in one night? Or something like that?
Well, I'm getting to it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not to worry. Owing to the geography that I'm talking about, you got lots and lots of mountainous terrain, not a lot of flat land. You have really high population density. And some sections of Tokyo housed people at up to 100,000 people per square mile. Just think about that density for a second. 100,000 people per square mile.
That's insane.
It's nuts. Like to us, it's.
I'm thinking how far a mile is from my house.
Yeah.
And
in a square.
Right.
100,000 people per square mile.
Wow.
All living in traditional wood and paper structures.
Wow.
Okay. The residential, that's what they were still living in. The incendiary attacks from February to August 1945 killed over 200,000 people.
Wow.
And left 15 million of Japan's 72 million people homeless.
15 out of 72 is
a little bit less than 25%.
Wow.
Okay. Here in the U.S., we might learn about the firebombing of Tokyo specifically in school, but this campaign hit all of Japan's major cities, and notable amongst them for our story is Kobe. Now,
I want to go back just a second.
Okay.
America had many plans to burn the hell out of Japanese cities, one of which was bats.
Yes.
They trained bats to roost, and then they'd have these timers that would go off, and it would spark fire, and boom.
And batshit crazy plan.
Yeah. It didn't work because the bats didn't learn to roost the right way and what have you.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this. They also had another plan, and it was they were trying, and it didn't work because it didn't get out of the testing phase. You couldn't get the test to work right because it skewed all the data, and also it was hard to, they started to realize, it's hard to infiltrate. But they were basically trying to send in pairs of redheads to have sex with each other.
Nice.
And that, because
you had to go there.
Yeah. Well, because redheads don't find each other attractive.
No, because of
all that sexual dynamism.
Yeah.
So that's why there are crop circles, for instance. Chernobyl was actually a bunch of expats living in Kiev, and they had an orgy, and now that's what.
And that's what that is.
Yeah. Stonehenge used to be a solid wall. And then,
nice.
I got together once with a redheaded gal when I was a youngster, and the next day, Hale-Bopp comet showed up, and those people killed themselves.
Yeah.
And Bart went on strike. So I'm sorry, but it happens.
You don't sound like you. So, I'm just gonna say I don't.
It's the juice was not worth the squeeze, as it were, in terms of the effects on everyone else.
All right.
So yeah.
Okay.
But they couldn't sneak them in because the Japanese aren't redheaded.
Yeah.
And, so
it's monoculture.
Exactly.
Society. Just never got anywhere. So Kobe
Yes.
was attacked 8 times between February and August.
Okay.
The first 3 attacks were incendiary against the city itself, left 650,000 people homeless.
Wow.
Almost 7 square miles of the city were completely destroyed.
Where did these people go? Were there camps that were set up?
There were camps that were set up.
Which can't be better because that would be canvas at best.
Well, and then you go to a camp that's a couple of miles away, and then there's another firebombing range.
Right.
Yeah. Nearly everything in the city was somehow damaged. There was not an undamaged structure anywhere to be found. The later raids were, quote, precision bombing raids against industrial and military targets.
Right.
Precision only by the standards of the day. They were high-altitude bombing with iron sights.
Right.
Even today, precision-guided munitions still have a miss rate in the 10 to 20% range.
Yeah, Doha Farms, for instance.
Yeah, back then, the precision bombing raid meant, fully 40% of the explosives we dropped hit the target. That was,
precision just meant that you were aiming at a target.
Yeah,
that was not
just
a
randomly,
population.
Yeah. And so every time this happened, there was more collateral damage going on. And basically, Kobe was flattened, just completely. If you're ever in a mood to cry yourself into a puddle, I highly recommend watching.
A couple years late on that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, sorry. I highly recommend watching Grave of the Fireflies.
Okay.
It is an animated film.
Okay.
Which means that a lot of Westerners who are fans of anime have looked at it and gone, "Oh, hey, this looks pretty cool," because we still assume
that it's for
animation
children.
means a kids' film. It documents
God.
the firsthand experiences of the writer Akiyuki Nosaka as a preteen boy who survived the bombing.
There's another book by Kenji Kuranawa, maybe?
Barefoot Gen?
Yes.
It's
a 3-volume series.
Yeah,
and that got turned into an animated feature.
Yes. I'm really not kidding about the crying.
Okay.
The hardship and the survivor's guilt that comes through in every minute of the film is literally gut-wrenching.
Okay.
Like fetal position on the floor, sobbing. It is one of the most wonderful movies I never want to watch ever again in my life.
I get that.
So it and Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
Masterful film. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Punch
done.
that ticket.
Yeah.
Don't need to do it again.
Yeah.
So, but we're here to talk about giant robots.
Right.
So back to Manhattan we go.
I'm sorry. We were just in Japan.
Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about the city Manhattan. I'm talking about the project.
Okay. Cool.
Manhattan Project.
Sure.
The one that gave us the nuclear bomb.
Right.
Now, Germany started a nuclear weapon program in 1939. Mm-hmm. 2 of them, actually. But one was canceled at the same time the second one started because of the invasion of Poland. Okay.
Bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, well, yeah, and basically the first project got canceled. The second project was under the control of the Wehrmacht directly.
Gotcha.
So it was a straight up military project. And the fear of the Nazi effort to build a fission weapon motivated Allied efforts that were consolidated over the course of the war. Originally, there was a British program and an American program.
Yeah.
And under Manhattan, that consolidation finally happened, and Manhattan started in 1942. Their working prototype was tested on July 16th, 1945 at Trinity, New Mexico. Right. And detonated with a force of 20 kilotons.
Which, at that point, was like the biggest that there had ever been made.
The largest
it was profound.
Explosion. Yeah, it was the largest explosion by far in history. So, on July 26th, 10 days later, the Potsdam Declaration called for Japan's unconditional surrender. Mm-hmm. The Japanese responded with a policy of silence.
Now, I've written about this extensively for a number of research projects that I've done. The policy of silence may well have been... No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about after the first bomb. Never mind.
Yeah. No, the policy after Potsdam.
Policy of silence. You're absolutely right.
Policy of silence. Yep. It was we're not going to decline it. We're certainly not accepting it. We're just not saying anything. And the lack of response was taken as a no. You're not accepting, so you're declining.
Right.
So remember that estimate of 1 million casualties.
Yes.
Nobody liked it.
Nope.
Truman didn't like it. Nobody in the Army staff liked it. Mm-hmm. The Brits didn't like it. They were going to be involved in the invasion. That was ridiculous. That was an inconceivable number.
Yes.
And so dropping the bomb on Japan became the go-to plan. There was no other secondary option considered. Mm-hmm. And Hiroshima was hit on August 6th, destroying 69% of the city's buildings and flattening 4.7 square miles at one fell swoop.
Yeah, and that's really the difference because, I mean, you had, and I think it killed about 140,000.
70 to 80,000
right away
were killed immediately,
right.
and another 70,000 were wounded, radiation poisoning, radiation burns, all that kind of stuff.
So you killed 70 to 80,000 immediately.
Instantly.
Instant.
Thanos.
Yes.
Snap of a finger.
Now, that is not as many as the 100,000 who died in one night in Tokyo, but
it's instant.
It's instant. So
it is one weapon.
It's profoundly different.
Yes.
Even though the body count is lower,
it's still a number that we
huge.
can't conceive of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a number that, like, you can look at it on a table and you go, yeah, it's a pretty big number, but you don't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like anytime
it's 35 of the high school I teach at.
Yes.
Dead immediately. Dead with and they all fall down.
Yeah.
Like that dead.
Yeah. Burned up. Not even. Not more dead than that.
Right.
Like vaporized.
Yes.
Like there is not even anything left of them if you're close enough to ground zero.
Yeah.
And it was that level of, an incendiary bomb. Mm-hmm. You're going to burn up. You're going to die.
You're going to find remains.
You're going to find remains. No. There's nothing.
But also an incendiary bomb, you see carpets of bombs falling.
Yes.
All night long. It's not a single thing falling.
Yeah, it's not the hand of God.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so profoundly different. So yes.
And so the second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki on August 9th.
And that, I think, is actually we don't have to get into it that much in this episode, but the reasoning behind that, it's a very interesting thing. Part of it was that it took Japan a day to figure out what had been dropped, and then it took them a day to convene people, and then they were getting arguments for and against surrender. And meanwhile, Truman basically forgot that he gave Groves a blank check.
Yeah.
And Groves was like, well, we made it. We should use it because he's a general, and that's what generals do. And so give him
a really big hammer. He's going to drive really big nails.
Look at these nails.
Yeah.
So, but that one was even bigger.
Well, interestingly, it was even bigger, but it killed and injured fewer people. The death toll was 35 to 40,000 and injured 60,000 because Fat Man detonated above a valley.
Right.
And the shock wave was contained.
Right.
And so it didn't have the same large casualty figures. It didn't destroy the same square mileage.
Well, Nagasaki was not as densely populated as Hiroshima either. Yeah.
Correct. And so the era of the super weapon.
Yes.
I use this phrase talking about Fantastic Four, talking about nuclear weapons, because really that's what this was. You know, in science fiction earlier, Jules Verne, H.G. Wells had talked about these concepts of these, fantastical super weapons.
Biblical
kind
stuff,
of, Bhagavad Gita, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds, which is exactly what Oppenheimer thought when he saw the Trinity test. So the era of the superweapon had arrived in reality, and now we go back to Kobe.
Okay. Not even biblical, though. Because I'm thinking back to, when God raised cities and stuff. He sent angels, and they carpet bombed.
Yeah.
Like, there were pillars coming up and shit like that. It was a process.
The paradigm was different.
Yeah.
It was not the same level of devastation
as
that
smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, automata. Okay, humanoid, automated figures.
Automata.
Have been part of human myth forever.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we have the golem.
Yes.
Talos from Greek myth.
Yes.
Even a passage in Hindu myth contains a guardian humanoid automaton with buzzsaw hands.
No kidding.
Wow. It's freaky. If you want to get like I don't understand where they got this science fiction ethos back so far in prehistory. read the Bhagavad Gita, because
Wow.
there's stuff in it that's remarkable. So this new separate super weapon, this level of devastation had a profound effect on the popular imagination of the Japanese people. They have the distinction, and they will point it out to you, of being the only people in history to have not one but two nuclear weapons used against them.
There was a guy who survived Hiroshima, fled to Nagasaki.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine that guy.
Can you imagine feeling like you were born under a bad sign?
Like, just
more
like
than that, dude.
Like, do you get to the point where you're like, "Are you fucking serious?
Are you
like,
kidding me?
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
you've got to be joking.
What?
Like,
what? You know,
what kind of
Buddhist,
resignation do you
by the
have?
way, Buddhist nation. What did I do in a past life?
Yeah.
Like what? Who did I screw over?
There were also several people who survived the Lusitania. One of whom went on. Who survived Titanic. Yeah. One of whom went on to serve on Lusitania.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude. Like, if you survive both of those, you do whatever you want. You go on every boat.
Yeah, you get on every ship from here forever. Yeah,
yeah,
because you're unkillable.
God, could you imagine how obnoxious he would be if he survived?
You're Nero's mom.
You're
fucking unkillable.
but I love that story. But like, could you imagine being that guy that survived Hiroshima and Nagasaki
and then wound up on the Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? You're a Jonah.
Yeah.
Like if you were one of the other crew on any boat he was on, you'd be like, no, I'm kicking you the fuck off.
I'm going AWOL.
I'm out. I'm like, the rats are running.
Yeah.
I'm going.
No, but just like be that guy who survived both.
Yeah.
And be like, and like somebody burns the turkey. He's like, who cares? Or he's always trying to one up you.
Oh yeah.
Like just like
that was bad. Yeah. You think you've got it rough. Yeah. So this idea of what we would call robots.
Oh yeah.
Have been around forever. But this new super weapon, this level of devastation had a profound effect, like I said, on the popular imagination of the Japanese people, and especially important for our story, on a 5th grader named Mitsuteru Yokoyama. He had been evacuated during the war and returned to find his home city utterly devastated. Kobe, like I said, completely flattened. Hiroshima and Nagasaki had similarly been decimated, but in their case, the devastation was inflicted by a single bomb each, like we talked about. The power of that, and the power of the German V weapons, the V1, V2...
The rockets.
Right. Similarly designed to inflict destruction in a long distance.
On a civilian population.
On a civilian population. But for him, it was the implications of on a civilian population. He was a 5th grader. It was kind of lost on him.
Sure.
But he went on. It inspired him to create the manga comic book Tetsujin 28 Go, translated into English as Iron Man 28. Manga started publication in 1956.
Okay.
Tetsujin is a 60-foot tall robot developed as a Japanese superweapon prior to the end of the war. The son of the scientist who invented it controls the robot with a remote. They go on adventures fighting crime syndicates, pirates, kidnapping and terrorist rings, evil super scientists, submarine pirates. It's a 3-color comic book,
right,
with a super weapon as a major MacGuffin. Okay, controlled by a kid who also happens to be a kid detective. Drives a car, carries a gun. I mean, it's kid fantasy. Yeah.
You know what? That the Spider-Man movie that just came out.
Yeah.
One of the Spider people in his Spider-Verse is a Japanese schoolgirl who controls a robot.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It has roots going back to here. This is where we see this. The anime adaptation of the comic started in 1963. Was imported to the United States in 1964 as the animated series Gigantor.
Okay.
Worthy of note here are changes to the backstory. The original series is set immediately post-war.
Okay.
The U.S. version happens in the distant year 2000. The original series explicitly says Tetsujin Gigantor was invented as a Japanese superweapon. The translation simply states he was invented as a weapon, but reprogrammed to be a guardian of peace. So, setting the American retread aside for a second, consider the psychological implications. A superweapon. Yeah. Explicitly described as a superweapon is now depicted being used for Terry and the Pirates 4-color comic strip adventures, zany hijinks. Action, zany, not always comedy, but you get what I'm saying. And the comic and anime were both wildly popular.
Okay.
Like huge, like Zeitgeists, massive.
Right.
And led directly to the next series in the chronology of the development of this genre, which is Mazinger Z.
Okay.
Which took the idea of a giant robot.
Okay.
And switched it up by having it be piloted by a person.
So, is the robot its own conscious being or not?
No.
Okay.
No. The giant robot becomes a vehicle.
Okay.
Okay. And Go Nagai, the creator of Mazinger Z, wanted to do something with the giant robot, but he didn't want to rip off Tetsujin. And he was trying to come up with an idea. And he was like, how can I, because this is really awesome. I really like this idea of
how do I distinguish,
50-foot tall robot.
Right.
What do I do to make it my own? And he got stuck in traffic one afternoon.
Can we rewind for just a second?
Yeah.
How tall was that first one?
60 feet.
And the second one, you said 50, but were you just throwing out a number?
I was just throwing out a figure.
It's interesting that 60 feet is the thing, because I was reading the physics of superheroes, and that's the highest height that Ant-Man / Giant Man ever got to.
Interesting.
And it's because at 60 feet, the weight and the strain, and I don't remember the exact science behind it, but the weight and the strain of the human body would collapse on itself after 60 feet.
Okay, I can see that.
I just think that's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
We all seem to land at
that kind of figure.
Right around there.
That is an interesting parallel, because the similar themes of power and dominion and all that kind of stuff are tied in there as well. So, but he got stuck. This is one of my favorite stories. He got stuck in a traffic jam. And I idly thought how nice it would be to have a way to bypass the cars in front of him. And the idea of a gigantic robot just stomping over
I saw that in Looney Tunes,
Yeah, so it came into being. So Mazinger really is the birth of the subgenre of what we call the super robot genre. The robot defies physics regularly, has rocket-propelled fist missiles as one of its main weapons. You may have seen somewhere Transor Z as a kid. That was the American retread of Mazinger.
Yeah, nothing.
And its main weapons were its fists
come
would
out,
fly off as rockets, and they would fly out and hit whatever they hit, and then fly back and reattach themselves. Which, think about the physics of that for a second. There are none.
Well, you just hit rewind on animation.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's all
fantastical.
Yeah. The rules don't matter.
Right.
And the stories gleefully ignore any kind of practical concerns about power source, ammunition, etc., in favor of what awesome thing can this gigantic tool of devastation do next. All of it is done in huge, bright colors. It's mostly kid-friendly. Mazinger Z really is all kid-friendly.
And is kid-friendly different from culture to culture?
Yeah.
We're talking about a culture that survived 2 giant bombings.
Yeah.
Profoundly giant bombings.
Yeah.
Plus a whole bunch of carpet bombings and incendiary bombings. So the boundaries for them are very different necessarily than the boundaries for us.
Yeah. So this is, again, kid-friendly depictions of violence with lots of whooshing and banging and, Biff Pow, 60s Batman kind of stuff, and very little blood or lethality. Okay. There's all kinds of explosions. There's all kinds of stuff falling down, getting smashed, all that kind of stuff.
Spectacle.
Yeah, there's all the spectacle and not a lot of gore. Not a lot of actual death. I mean, there's death when it's important to the story. Like, when the pilot's family member, mentor figure gets killed as part of his heroic arc, that's a big deal. But otherwise, it doesn't happen. After Mazinger, we have more series, Getter, Robo, Combattler, and what's referred to as the Combattler Romance Trilogy, which was, as it says, a trilogy of series in a common universe, further codified the aspects of this subgenre. So we see an emphasis on coolness over practicality, which I've already mentioned.
Of course.
Involves hot-headed, passionate heroes.
Uh-huh.
The
Not
chief
a Japanese
pilot,
thing.
Well, the thing is, it is and it isn't.
Okay.
In social situations in the real world, the expectation is that you are going to be, you're going to follow the Confucian ideal of Li. You're going to be well behaved. You're going to keep everything under control. You're going to be calm and serene.
Right.
However, if you are involved in a contest of any kind, if there's a conflict, if there's a struggle, if there's a whatever,
Bonsai,
passion.
Okay.
You've got to be, totally committed. The one of the central characteristics that you wind up finding if you look at like all kinds of cultural artifacts of Japanese culture is there is this idea of whatever you're gonna do, man, you fucking commit like 100%.
That's totally their geography.
If you are gonna be a chef, there are whole manga series devoted to becoming, the protagonist trying to become a chef.
Right.
And they're all done in the same artistic style with the same kind of, glints in the eyes and the emphasis on dynamic poses as superhero comics. It is, you are dedicated to the path of cooking.
That's very
commit.
That's the Odyssey.
It is.
That's be the best swineherd you can be.
Yes.
That's interesting. They're both island communities.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because, there's not a lot of other options.
Well, and that's, I mean, that's the geography dictating the personality in some ways.
Oh, yeah.
Like, focused into these valleys.
Yeah.
Focused into this
into
10% of landmass.
Into whatever it is you got going on. Yeah. So, the heroes are hot-headed, passionate kids. It laughs mockingly in the face of physics and scale. And generally, the giant robots are created for some lofty goal, like protect Earth from alien invasion, act as a guardian of peace. These big, when you really get down to it, they're either tautologies or similarly, it's like, well, what does that actually mean?
Right.
Why would you build a giant? The giant robot doesn't sound like a practical tool to do this. Why exactly? Because it's cool. Shut up. We want to blow shit up. And now the draw of this is interesting from a Zeitgeist perspective. The generation who had been born just before the war and just during the war loved these series.
Okay.
They have fandoms to this day that are as passionate as Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans, Doctor Who fans.
Sure.
I mean, like religiously dedicated. And they were so beloved, they've spawned countless imitator spin-offs, reboots, sequels, remakes, all of them. Shows about super weapons, in these cases, super weapons of awesome power, purposed with lofty romantic goals. Okay? And set in this very romantic, in the sense of high romance. Where all of the themes are melodramatic. All of the relationships between the characters are, deep. Still waters run deep if there are still waters. And everybody is there's passion is a driving force in everything. And these are the living witnesses of the terrible devastation of total war and the world's first true life super weapon. And so we see these super weapons becoming guardians. This power that they had experienced as this traumatic, horrible, terrible, again, curl up into a ball and cry yourself to death if you watch the depiction of what they went through kind of experiences, are now being repurposed in their popular imagination and in their popular media into the thing that's going to protect them, into the thing that's going to save them, into the thing that gives them this outlet for adventure and romance and excitement and all this stuff.
Sounds like America bombed the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And then occupied them.
Yeah.
And helped them rebuild industrially.
Yeah.
Set them up as an economic power.
Yeah.
And kept them safe from anyone around them.
Wow. This is why I love doing this podcast, because that was an analogy that had gone completely under my radar.
Are you serious?
I am.
I thought that was like,
I hadn't even
wow.
thought of it. I hadn't even thought of it as on the nation state level.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of it. My focus is on the individual into nation state coping with trauma level.
See, I'm thinking...
But what you point out is, America, yes.
Well, even on a person-to-person level, what had these people been fed about the invasion? Yeah. These people will eat you. And then they show up and they give you meat. They show up, they give you jobs. They give you a government. Yeah. They give you
a more representative, better, fairer, less sexist government than the one you had before, and in some ways than their own home.
Yes. But and then they set you up as a trading partner, and they really do they bomb the shit out of you.
And they invest billions of dollars. Yeah.
But also, like, the American GIs were like given a code of conduct while you're over there.
Yeah.
You are our face. So they went from propagandizing them as they will eat you and your children. You have to stab them until they stop moving. To, nah, man, they're cool.
Yeah.
So
well, and in the same time period, now that you bring that up, of course, in the same time period,
when did this kid grow up? The first one is in the 50s, right?
He was alive during the war.
Right.
He was a 5th grader in 45.
So he heard the propaganda. So by the time America leaves, he is barely an adult.
Yeah, he's a young adult.
And then he starts doing this thing. Okay. Yes. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's brilliant. That's why we do this.
Yes.
So the bombardment left a deep mark, like we talked about, on the Japanese national character. And there was also before that, or additionally, there was the changes that were wrought by the general devastation of the war, and before the war, the militarization of their culture that had led to it. And after the war, the new government that was installed and the people who elected that government became pacifist to the extent that nowadays in Japan, joining the self-defense forces is considered a loser's job.
Wow.
Like there is no prestige whatsoever attached to it.
Wow.
It is if you're joining the self-defense forces, the joke has been made that cop pulls a comedian over, Sarah Silverman, I think, and he says to her, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" She says, "Because you got C's in high school." That's the attitude that they have toward the military.
Wow. That's quite the shift.
And so the new Japan, partly because of the propaganda we fed them, was in love with futurism. Like whiz bang, ray gun, space, if it was futuristic and new. The Japanese have always had a love of the different.
Yes.
Always. It's always been a cultural thing. But xenophilia has always been a part of their culture. But since World War II, especially in the couple of decades after that, like they adopted rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
And they adopted, if you look at Bosozoku biker culture.
Oh, yeah.
You see American
the funniest
gang culture like ramped up to 11 because again, if you're gonna do it, fucking do it. And all of these things out of our culture that got transported over there that get exaggerated and mirrored, and they do it, and they're like, no, I'm gonna do that more and better.
Well, because they don't have the organic aspect to it, they adopt it.
Yeah.
So when you adopt something, you adopt the most outward signs of it quite often.
Yeah.
So they've got the zeal of the converted.
Yeah.
Without the history of the raised in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And so they were deeply committedly pacifist.
Sure.
But they also revisited their mass trauma in their new popular myths.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Yes.
Godzilla is the obvious example. Kaiju films are a separate genre, but they're related.
Yeah.
To
the point where there's a mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, he was either awakened or created, depending on which version of the story, by nuclear tests in the Pacific.
Right.
How more on the nose could you be? But the power in this case has been taken in the super robot genre. This power has been taken, and it started out being Dionysian, and it's been turned into being Apollonian. Because I love that dichotomy. I love that.
I totally see. Yeah.
Okay, then decade or two went by, and the super robot genre ruled the roost. That was what giant robot fiction was.
Okay.
Throughout the 60s into the 70s, and then in 1979,
all right,
there was a new seminal work called Mobile Suit Gundam, and that was the birth of the real robot genre. Okay?
The real robot.
Real robot.
Okay.
Gundam is the first example of a giant robot that actually had to worry about things like maintenance, reloading weapons, supply chains, all of those military science fiction, real world concerns.
Right.
All of a sudden is like, no, this is a machine. Let's think about how this machine would have to work. And the grit factor is a lot higher in Gundam. Think of Watchmen compared to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, no, I get you. Do you think some of this has to do with the fact that the 70s were such a shitty time worldwide? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's the deal. The 70s saw the Cold War descend into the looming dread that we've talked about repeatedly when we talk about it. The heightened tensions and fear and panic and, oh my God, overblown circumstances turned into, well, no, we have mutually assured destruction. If anybody pulls the button, if anybody hits the button, we're all going to die.
Right.
And that's just that's just background noise.
Yeah.
And
insanity will save us.
Yes. And the Japanese, of course, were hosting U.S. military bases.
Yeah.
So there was a chance they were going to be targeted. And
they had no say over it.
And they were one of the staging areas that our military used to send guys to Vietnam.
Right.
And for guys coming back from Vietnam.
Right. And Korea too.
And Korea as well, but really 1979 we're looking at Vietnam.
Well, we're post-Vietnam by that point. But it had been baked into the culture. Yeah. And so, by this point, you'd had 30 years of occupation.
Yeah. And so war plays a central role in the real robot genre.
Okay.
They are military science fiction with giant robots. The robots are literal weapons. They're not superheroic constructs, but elaborate fighter jets or tanks.
Okay.
They're the cutting edge of military tech, but that's exactly what they are, military tech. Armor Trooper Votoms is an example of this utilitarian idea taken to an extreme. In Mobile Suit Gundam, the mechs are more utilitarian looking.
Right.
But they're still recognizably humanoid with close to humanoid proportions.
Yeah. They're jets with legs and arms.
And the Gundam itself is this swoopy, samurai helmeted, special ace custom prototype. In Armor Trooper Votoms, the mechs are probably, I want to say they're about 12 feet tall. They're much smaller.
Okay.
And they are ugly. They are intentionally utilitarian to a point of being muggly.
Right.
Because, look at a Sherman tank. It ain't pretty.
Right.
Okay. And somewhere in the middle of that spectrum is Fang of the Sung Dogram, which I've mentioned before. The mechs in that one are some of my favorite designs. A lot of the early mechs in Battletech were taken from Fang of the Sung Dogram.
Okay.
And I was initially exposed to them in Battletech, and then I saw where they came from. And so
Battletech was created in
85.
Right.
84, 85.
And Warhammer 40K was created in
84, 85, roughly about the same time.
So they're both drawing on the same aesthetic.
Similar. Well, there's a lot more Gothic and Eldritch going on in Warhammer 40k. But
and Warhammer isn't giant robots either.
But the same idea of
dark, gritty,
affected by
metal.
Vietnam, affected by
everything that Sauron wanted to build.
Yes, basically, yeah. And Macross, which you would recognize as Robotech,
sure,
is somewhere in the middle, both tech wise and in terms of plot.
Okay.
Macross, we see we see major characters get killed. We see major characters die ugly. Roy Fokker, we see him.
Is he the one that gets?
He's the
gets it in the back.
Guy. He gets it in the back. And then other members of Rick Hunter's squadron, Hikaru Ichijo in the original series, die ugly and in pointless mistakes, or essentially in ways that, like, man, why'd you go out like a punk?
Sure.
And so these series showed a much grayer worldview with a lot more moral ambiguity, especially in Votoms, which cribbed a whole story arc from the Vietnam War.
Oh wow!
They had serious, meaningful character deaths, and their depictions of violence were not Looney Tunes-ish. You'll never see, a real robot.
Two fists fighting.
Isn't ever going to fire its fists off. Now this genre obviously postdates Vietnam, in which case super weapons could not have solved the problem.
Right.
And
they're smaller now.
Yeah.
Because tactically. Yeah.
And not only that, but if super weapons had been used in Vietnam, they would have made everything so much worse.
Right.
Because if we had used nuclear weapons to try to solve our problems in Vietnam, that would have brought the Chinese and the Soviets in, and we would have destroyed
mutually assured destruction.
Yeah. There's still romantic adventure kind of flavoring to these stories, but it's no longer four-color comic storytelling. And these stories are a harder brand of very specifically military science fiction.
Okay.
And now we've kind of come full circle for the purposes of our podcast, because this is where Battletech comes in.
Right.
And these stories have now reached the United States. We've brought them over here, and a bunch of game designers look at this and go, this is awesome. I want to take this and turn this into a game.
Right.
And our own universe where we're going to throw all this into the far future and do all this stuff that we've talked about in the Battletech episode.
Right.
And so this genre that was born out of the shared trauma of the Japanese people in the 50s and 60s then got adopted by a subset of geekdom as a way for us to cope with our insecurities, both Cold War and economic, because Kuridar, the bad guys, and the Japanese are going to eat our lunch economically in the 80s and into the 90s.
So wait, let me start from the beginning really quickly.
Okay.
We drop atomic bombs on Japan.
Yes.
That leads to this genre because of the trauma of a profound super weapon.
That is my thesis.
Right. That then morphs and changes as the Japanese people come to terms with the fact that the very people who bombed them so profoundly are now helping them back up.
Yeah.
Then it keeps going because of their partnership with that same people. Not a partnership that they chose necessarily, but it is one that they absolutely ultimately benefited from.
Yeah.
Then they're watching that group kind of spill its own tea all over its own crotch when it comes to the military stuff.
Yeah.
And it informs that genre to the point where then people start to notice that, and they're like, and so it gets exported back to the same people who started this whole thing by dropping a giant bomb on them.
Yeah.
And it reminds me in a very funny way of how Henry David Thoreau inspired Gandhi, who inspired MLK.
Yeah.
So it's like this triangulation, this bouncing back and forth of east to west over and over again. Yeah. And again, I'm painting with a very broad brush because it saves time.
And this is in a much more shallow vein.
Yeah, and it's very different, but it's so interesting to me that it's our own fault that we have it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, culturally. So, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So what... That's what I've got. I mean, like I said, that's my thesis. What do you, other than what you just said, what else have you got to take away from here?
I think I blew my wad on the idea of the Japanese coming to grips with the fact that a people who had so profoundly hurt them was now their partner in rebirth.
Yeah.
And how that informed that. So how a super weapon became a guardian.
Yeah.
Because the people who used the super weapon became guardians.
Yeah.
I think I spent my lunch money on that. But I would, which I like a lot better than I blew my wad.
Yeah, I spend your lunch money. I think it's better in this context.
I think in the larger context as well of the toys and the fact that it was U.S. sea rations, the metal from those were what became the toys that
they turned around and exported back to the U.S.
Right, and they were giant robot toys.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so it's just so interesting to me that you have that operating on so many different levels culturally. Your point about xenophilia.
Yes.
I find it fascinating because our country is currently going through a very xenophobic phase. And by currently, I mean since forever. It's always very xenophobic. Interestingly, the Japanese xenophilia, you have an island culture. Mm-hmm. You see this in England as well, by the way. This exoticization almost, this fetishization of foreigners.
Yeah.
But we don't want them breeding with us.
No.
Whereas over here, there's a tremendous amount of xenophobia, and we're as mixed as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
In so many ways. I mean, you and I live in Sacramento. It's a very mixed hodgepodge place, which to our strength.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that both are reacting to the quote, I'm going to use finger quotes here for the word threat of the foreigner in ways that are opposite of how their culture actually is built.
Okay.
So
I see what you're saying.
A very monoculture group is very xenophilic.
Yeah.
A very multicultural group is very xenophobic. And I think that's interesting.
Well, I think if you're talking about like the part where we're talking about our xenophobia, I think the issue that you're talking about there is the fact that we have this culture of diversity that we have. We have the fact that we are inescapably an immigrant nation.
Yes.
And the thing is, the xenophobia that we see in our latent, the latent xenophobia that we see in our society is born out of the, quote, majority culture.
Right.
The people in power.
Right.
Wanting to get something out of people coming into the country, but are afraid of the threat posed by those same people.
Right.
Whereas in actual, rubber meeting the road terms, we don't really fear the individual people.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Oh, he's a good one.
It is the rare individual who I've ever met.
Yeah.
Who actually has a genuine xenophobic,
has a practical racism,
has a practical racism. There's the latent kind of getting uncomfortable in a quote unquote bad neighborhood at night.
Right. Clutching your purse a little closer in an
closer,
elevator,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when people in our culture actually introduce themselves and start talking as a culture,
right,
we're really good at as a person, now I'm going to talk to you and we're going to figure it out, and you're going to be one of the good ones.
Right.
and after you've been exposed to enough of them, you can overcome the prejudice by going, wait a minute, every one of them I've ever met has actually been a decent bloke. Therefore, all right, I was wrong. But the initial tribalism, clannishness, threat from the outsider is something we all have to overcome. It's the difference between the assimilation model of the turn of the 20th century of the melting pot,
right,
and the modern assimilation model of the stained glass window or the mosaic.
I like that. That's a lot prettier than the salad.
Yeah, or the pot of Velveeta is what I always pictured.
Yeah.
And so I think that's an interesting takeaway talking about Japanese culture
Well, and also I was just thinking of your previous episode talking about, you delved in a bit to how Japanese unions differ from ours.
Yeah.
Japanese unions exist in cooperation with and in partnership with. And our unions exist as a bulwark to protect from the predations of...
In direct opposition to.
Yeah. To those who would snuff them out.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty pro-union guy, so I'm going to spin it that way.
Yeah.
But, and like you said, we have a history of, no, come in, we need to make use of you. We need to exploit you, but don't you dare try to climb to what we've got.
Get uppity.
Whereas in Japan, it's like, oh man, you got some cool shit over there. Why don't you bring it over and show it to me?
Yeah.
What are you doing? No, you don't get to date my daughter.
No.
But, yeah. So it just, yeah.
Stay on that side of the tatami, please. Yeah.
But that's cool leather jacket you got there.
Dude.
So, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was fun.
All right. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Any books you want to plug
within
or read?
the vein of talking about Japanese culture, I highly recommend the Sano Ichiro mystery series, which I've talked to you about before.
Oh, yeah.
It is an Agatha Christie style mystery series where the main character is a samurai in Edo, Japan. Says a lot about Japanese culture at that time.
Okay.
And if you study Japanese culture at that time, it gives you a really interesting window into Japanese culture ever since.
Nice.
So, how about you?
The True Flag by Stephen Kinzer.
Okay.
It's The True Flag, Theodore Roosevelt, Mark Twain, and the Birth of the American Empire.
All right.
And it's about essentially the Spanish-American War how it was our first step onto the world stage as a colonizer. And what I like about it is I heard an interview with the author, and he talked about how much the senators had debates about, are we in the House of Reps as well, how are we going to do this or not? Like, are we going to step in? Like, we just take it for granted.
Yeah.
But they were like, seriously, like, do we really want that role?
Yeah.
And they quoted a lot of Rome.
Yeah.
In so doing. And I was like, wow, back when people were classically trained. So.
Yeah. The benefits of classical education.
Well, if you have any questions, if you want to dig deeper with Ed or me on this topic, as well as many others.
Or if you've caught one of our mistakes and want to harp at us on it.
Yes, we love social media hate. Hit us up with at Geek History Time. Or personally, you can hit me up at Harmony.
And you can hit me up at EH Blaylock.
Yes, all of this on Twitter. I'm Damien Harmony.
I'm Ed Blaylock. And until next time, keep rolling 20s.